Hello, leaders. If you want your private practice to thrive long-term, you need more than just talented people. You need a team that takes ownership. In today's episode, I'm featuring another incredible member of the Leadership Lab. She's a practice owner who's made 3 intentional shifts to set her team and her business up for lasting success. She moved her team to salary for greater stability. She's prepping to introduce micro roles to clarify responsibilities and implementing the 5-hour work plan to boost follow-through. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. If you're a woman who owns an established business with a team of 5 or more, and you're ready to lead with more confidence, clarity, and impact, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Shelley Warren. Each episode delivers practical strategies to help you build a high-performing team and become the leader your business needs next. Let's get started with this reminder. The team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. I love introducing you to my clients. Today, you're about to meet Jessica Cowling from London, Ontario, Canada, who recently joined the Leadership Lab. She's a registered social worker and founder and CEO of InnerWorks Counseling, a thriving counseling clinic with a team of 27 people. The InnerWorks team is on a mission to help families connect and thrive in the world of distraction and busyness. They do this through their compassionate and collaborative team-based approach to working with families. InnerWorks is home to 2 specialty clinics, the Postpartum Counseling Center and the London Autism Center. Jessica is passionate about creating a workplace that fosters a sense of belonging, both for her clients and her team. She built a small but mighty leadership team, and Laura and Virginia are members of the Stacking Your Team Team Leader Program, and I can attest to their commitment and drive to expanding their leadership skills. Come on, I want you to meet Jessica. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, Jessica.
Thank you.
I am so thrilled to have you here, and I'm even more thrilled that I get to be the very first show that you come on and share your brilliance with. So I feel very honored that you said yes. I know that this is something that isn't like an everyday occurrence for most business owners. They don't normally go on a podcast, but I'm thrilled to have you here so that you can share your journey with everyone tuning in.
I'm excited to be here.
Also thrilled because you are a fellow Canadian and you live in the same province that I live in. We're both Ontario gals, and it's been real delightful for me to have you as a member of the Leadership Lab and have another Canadian in the room where I can say, like, back me up on this, Jessica. This is how we do it up here. And just to be able to support more people in Canada. That's one of my goals this year and next year is to expand my reach out through our country and be able to support more people that are living up in the Great White North. So I'm happy to have you here.
And it's very needed for us Canadians. It's hard to find good support from a fellow Canadian.
Happy to have you here. So one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Jessica, is that you are very thoughtful about everything you do. I would say that you take everything seriously in the sense that you don't jump into something quickly. You have an intention for everything that you're doing. And I feel like the growth in your business is reflective of that. Like you're very selective with everything that you do, every person that joins your team, every new methodology or new structure that you introduce to the team, you are very thoughtful about it. So tell us a little bit about how your business is today versus back when you first opened your doors.
So I started just in solo practice by myself 9 years ago. When my son turned 1 year old, I did not want to go back to the job that I was at. So decided to make my own job with my own rules. And then after a few years of working solo, I started adding to my team in late 2019 and added my second team member 1 week before COVID lockdowns began.
Oh, gosh.
It was an interesting time. It was certainly frightening at first. And then the demand for mental health support just skyrocketed. So we were in the right place at the right time. And then I just kept adding to my team because we had the demand. People needed support.
So talk to me now about, so you have a team of 20 or more, actually. I think there's more than 20 people on your team now.
Yeah, 27 now.
Yeah, 27. Okay, that's no joke. Tell us about how you, like, what's your workplace like? Like, what's the vibe?
The vibe is so interesting. It has changed. There's been a shift recently in the last couple of months. So it is now very positive, very upbeat. We've had a couple of new team members join us, and that has been so good. They have complemented our team really well. And last week, actually, we had a team event on Friday night, and one of our team members said, "Oh, my partner couldn't believe that I wanted to come hang out with my coworkers on a Friday night, but I have so much fun with all of you." And we had a blast. We went bowling and ate pizza, and it was the most fun I had had in a really long time.
So do you believe this change in energy was directly linked to these new team members that joined, or a combo of people that left and then they were replaced?
Yeah, I think it was a combination. We had a little bit of turnover early in 2025. And between people exiting and people joining us, it really shifted the feel around the office. So people seem much more engaged now than they had been in the first couple of months of 2025.
Yeah, it really does matter, right? You hear me every week. I'll tell people the team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there. And there's just so much truth in that. And sometimes even, taking the big gulp and making the big decision to even release one particular person on your team can overnight improve your team culture. Literally overnight. There's a different feel about the place. People are happier. They're willing to more easily collaborate. They're not, collaborate versus competitive. And that just has so much impact in everyone's well-being. And the fact that you are in mental health, I mean, come on, this is the thing that, I've coached a lot of therapy practice owners over the years, like a lot. And the one thing that still shocks me is that she doesn't understand that she's not a great reflection of her own niche, right? Like, you're in the business of mental health and mental well-being. And yet, I find just too many therapy practices out there that are not walking the talk. So, that's where I come in and I hold people accountable and help them make those bigger decisions, even though they're scary, but they really do have such an impact. And then once she realizes, oh my gosh, yeah, that was a big move I just made, but wow, look how happy everyone is. Look how happy I am. Look at our turnover go down. Our attendance has gone up. Our billables are through the roof. The wait list is wild, but it all comes down to just saying, you know what, this isn't what I wanted to build. This isn't the workplace that I wanted to build. And then just taking control back yourself.
Yeah. And we made some changes to our compensation structure, and I expected that not everybody would love that. And it was the right move for what the business needed anyways. I wasn't always able to see things this way, but now I look at it as people are going to self-select in or out. And I don't have to get all in my feels about that. People are allowed to make a choice for what they need for their lives, and I want to support them in doing that. And so when people no longer want to work in the structure that we have, then I want them to make good choices for their lives, and it doesn't have to be with us.
Yeah, and we just, bless them, release them, let them go back out there into the big world of work and find their next best career move. But I find a lot of small business owners, especially, will make iteration after iteration, trying to make one person happy, and then try to make the next person happy, and then try and keep a hold of the next person. And it just becomes this vicious cycle of change. And it's that level of change that is so disruptive to the team culture. If she would have stood her ground initially and said, this is my business, this is where I see the business going, this is how it's going to be set up. This is the compensation program, the compensation plan. Are you in or you're out? And then was to be okay with the fact that people are going to leave, because it's that exit of those individuals that weren't a fit anyways. Like they're not going to be happy here anyways. So why would you hold someone hostage, essentially, in your workplace when they don't really want to be there? But so you decided that you were going to transition to salaries. So tell me about, like, was there a moment where you went, oh my gosh, I need to transition to salaries? Like, what happened? What made you realize that this was going to be your next best move?
This is something that I have had on my radar for a very long time. In the mental health industry in Canada, having folks as employees is fairly uncommon. Most of the time, people are using an independent contractor model, which is how I started. And then I started to move people to employees because I wanted to have people who were loyal and who felt like they were part of something, and that they, in hiring, they want to work for us. They want to work with us because they buy into our mission. I have for a long time said, I'm not looking for people who want a job. I'm looking for people who want to work here. And so having employees allowed me to attract better candidates and to ask for a higher level of commitment from them, so that we are not just somebody's side gig, which is common and totally okay for other models of mental health clinics. That's just not what we're doing. So salaries is something I wanted to do for a very long time, but it's also very risky financially. I am grateful for how you described my decision-making approach as thoughtful and intentional. I can trend towards overthinking everything and then not doing anything. But I'm getting better at balancing that. But I knew that that was not something to jump into right away. It felt too risky, and I take my role of financial steward of the company very seriously. So I wanted to ease my way into that. And so we did. We started February 1st of this year into salaries, and it's been interesting, but it's been really helpful for stabilizing our payroll expenses, which is something that we needed. The variability of that was it was too much. And I wanted to be able to offer our team members stability in their income. I didn't want people to have to worry about, I'm sick, but if I take a sick day and don't see my clients, then I'm not getting paid. Both because I want them to take care of themselves and I don't want them to come to work sick. So I wanted to be able to provide an environment where people felt supported, and supported financially is one of those ways.
So what kind of pushback did you get, or did you get any?
Oh, yeah. Sure, we did. People worried that they would make less money by being on a salary. We also increased our accountability and our expectations with people. So we have always had targets for billable hours that we expected of people, but we did not previously do a great job of actually holding people accountable. In one way, it worked in terms of payroll, because if they didn't work, they didn't get paid. And so it was a little bit low stakes for me on that end. But when we're talking about salaries, if they don't work, I can't make payroll. And I don't ever want to be in a position where my team members don't get paid. So when we met as a team and I presented this, we made it very clear that we are increasing accountability and having clear expectations, and still having a way for people to scale their income if they want. So we have a base salary, and then we have a bonus system that, should they choose to exceed the minimum target, then they can get paid more for that time.
And so do you have a lot of people on your team that are going after those bonuses?
So we do it quarterly, and we have 1 quarter of experience with it. Everybody hit their target in Q1.
Nice.
Every single person did. Some of them just squeaked by, and some of them worked much harder than they needed to. So we also had to have a conversation around, maybe you should slow down and not get yourself burnt out from working too many hours. But everybody did it. And that was also, I think, a turning point in the vibe around the office, when people had that first quarter of experience to say, oh, these targets are actually very attainable. It wasn't that hard to do. People worried that they wouldn't be able to do it. And I knew they could. I knew it wasn't difficult, and they all did. And they all earned a bonus.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. What a way to kick off a whole new structure of your business, is to have it be a winning one.
Yes, we wanted people to get a win, but we didn't want to make that artificial either. We didn't want to well, you're almost there. So, we wanted people to feel like they earned it.
Well, and they did, right? They did. They did.
They did.
Yeah, they held the sessions and treated your clients and helped with everyone's transformation, for sure. So the other thing is, you, in comparison to when you first opened up your practice, you have a small but mighty leadership team. So tell us about that leadership team. What was that like, building that? Let's dive into what collectively you're all doing together now.
Yeah, the three of us are just, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for my two leaders. And we complement each other really, really well. They both have strengths that are areas of weakness for me. And so it really helps with things running really smoothly, because it's not all dependent on me anymore to do the things that I am not that good at doing, or the things that I really don't like to do. So I have a clinical director, and then I have an operations manager. And my clinical director, we have grown her into this role. And in fact, we called her clinical lead up until a few months ago. And then we changed her title to clinical director, because she has very much earned it and has demonstrated tremendous leadership skills. So she is responsible for overall supervision and quality of clinical care for our clients. And she does a fantastic job of that. And then our operations manager has also really grown into that role. She started as a temporary part-time virtual assistant who was helping me out when I was in a pinch of a virtual assistant that I had to let go of a few years ago. So she said she'd help me get through 3 months, and we are almost 3 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she also just tremendous skill in staying organized, executing on things, huge creativity in developing new programs for us as well.
Well, I feel like I know Laura and Virginia and you really well, because Laura and Virginia are also in the team leader program, and they're very engaged in that program and on those calls. And then I've had some recent one-to-ones with them as well to help them, move their goals forward in some of the projects that they're working on too. So I am impressed. I'm impressed with that team that you're building there. And you're also continuing to, like we like to say, leaders grow more leaders. And all of you have a full intention of that. So you've got new people that you're hiring, you've got new people that you're moving into leadership roles as well. And it's just really wonderful to be able to see you evolve the practice. I feel like you're going one level up. You're just moving things up every 6 months, every year. You're just moving things up to the next level.
Yeah. And I really could not do that without them.
It makes such a difference to have committed, capable, just really competent people around you. You're just so much more collaborative. And I know that they are very committed to you. They're very committed to the work. They're very committed to their community, your local community. They're very committed to. So it's wonderful to see the dynamics of you as well. So the other thing that I know that you've been leaning into is in terms of accountability, is introducing what you're calling micro roles, where I would refer to them as ownership areas. So tell us about, what's the backstory on that? Why were you wanting to introduce these micro roles into your practice?
We started to look at all the things that needed to be done that we just, between Laura and Virginia and Julia, our intake coordinator, between the four of us, we just can't do all the things. And at the same time, as we were looking at transitioning people to salaries, one of the things I wanted to look at was what is a typical work week for somebody who's a salaried employee. So we have their clinical work and their billable hours, which takes up the bulk of their time. And then there's other things sort of adjacent to that, doing their documentation, attending supervision. But I wanted to create a full-time job, which for us is 30 hours a week, and be able to pay them a salary that felt livable for them. And so then we thought, what do we do with these other hours that they have? And knowing that people have other skill sets too. So we want people to bring their whole selves to work and to be able to use different parts of their brain, because we know that they are all wonderful therapists and they are all also really good at other things too. And so we wanted to provide an opportunity for them to diversify their workload so that they could continue to be interested in and engaged in their work to contribute to the overall vision of the clinic. And hopefully to prevent burnout as well, because they can do other things. I didn't want people seeing 30 clients a week. It's not healthy for us.
How are you, what was your strategy to roll this out? Because you had recently lived through the rollout of converting everyone to salary.
Mm-hmm.
So you had that experience under your belt. So now here you are, you're stepping up in your leadership. And you're rolling out the next big change in your practice. And that is introducing these micro roles to beef up the accountability and the productivity of a full work week. So what's your thought? What's your strategy for rolling this out?
So we're still in the middle of rolling it out. Maybe not even yet to the middle. We're in the early stages. We seeded the idea way back in December when we first announced that we would be changing over to salaries. So I shared with them that this would become part of their role, but we weren't going to start it yet because we just wanted them to get used to one thing at a time.
Sure. Yeah.
Without overwhelming them. So we've kept the conversation going, but kind of lightly for a couple of months. And then we have started to talk about it more. And with your advice, you said making a sales campaign. So really selling it well in a way that it can feel beneficial to our team members, that it's something that they get excited about doing.
Yeah, because they always ask the question, in their mind, the whole time a leader's talking to them, trying to convince them to do something different. In their mind, what's running on repeat is, what's in it for me?
So we had some folks who were very excited to have the opportunity to try something new. We also had some folks who, and this was a reaction I was not anticipating, one person in particular who felt tremendous relief because now she was going to get credit for all the extra things that she was doing outside of seeing clients.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what a moment that is, right? So it's a moment for her to feel seen and heard and rewarded. And at the same time, it's a moment for you and the leadership team to say, oh my gosh, we may have been taking her for granted.
Oh, we knew that this person, she's one of the 20% who does the 80%, right? And so we have been very cautious with that and not wanting to, just because she's so capable, that we don't want to always go to her for things. That's not fair.
Yeah, but isn't that always what happens, right? It's that whole idea of do a great job. We're just going to keep loading you up because it just needs to make sense, and people carve out a reputation of being incredibly reliable and the go-to person for this and the go-to person for that. So happy to see that. So that one person was like, oh, awesome. What about the majority of everyone else? Were they a little leery about it, wanting more information, appreciate the fact that it wasn't happening immediately?
Yeah, I think people, they're curious and interested. Some a little bit cautious around, what does this mean for me? And those were questions we tried to address right up front around, how much extra work is this going to be? And we constantly bring back to the message of your 30-hour work week. And so we're reminding people that we're paying you for 30 hours of work. And so when you're not seeing clients and doing these other things, we do actually have other expectations of you because you're getting paid to do it. So people are starting to get on board, and we're just now with the 5-hour work plans as we're rolling those out. Then we're working with each person to develop an area for them as their micro role or area of ownership.
Yeah. Yesterday I had a call with Laura and Virginia together, and we went through a couple of 5-hour work plans for a couple of different people, looking to incorporate their micro role into their overall work plan in a way that felt seamless, really. And so that it made sense and that it was very clear to that individual that, here are my 3 core competency areas, which is part of your 5-hour work plan. And within that, here's the micro role. Here's where I'm going to leave my stamp on the business. Here's where I'm going to be able to, focus on some continual improvement for that area of the business that's going to benefit all of us who work here. So it was a great session with Laura and Virginia. And I knew that they really knew their stuff, but it was really evident to work through that with them for sure. So what do you think about that 5-hour work plan? Because I know you and I just had a call recently too, where we mapped out your 5-hour work plan.
Well, I said to you the other day, I don't know what my job is anymore. It has felt like answering emails and going to meetings, and so through our conversation and all of my mapping it out on various sheets of paper sitting next to me here, I've been able to really identify things that I am in fact already doing, which was a relief, and also things that can be part of my role that are interesting and exciting to me. And I don't know if I just thought that I shouldn't be working on things that I personally found interesting and exciting, but it was a relief to know that I actually can do those things.
I think so too. I think as leaders, each of you do 17,000 things in a day, and yet you can still walk out at the end of the day feeling like you didn't accomplish anything. And a lot of that is due to just the amount of overwhelm, disorganization, or just code switching all day. Like for 10 minutes, I'm focused on this. And then the next 10 minutes, I'm focused on this. And I got a call for this. I got to be this meeting. Like it's just back and forth, back and forth. There's all this code switching, which is exhausting. And it can feel like a whole week went by, a whole month went by, a whole quarter went by, and you didn't really accomplish the things that you wanted to. So by having that 5-hour work plan that just provides you with that clarity. And then the other thing that I know we just did a recent training in the Leadership Lab about identifying your most valued work, like what's your highest valued work that you are doing in your business right now to ensure its success. And just being able to think about that and then incorporate that into your work provides a ton of calmness and a ton of confidence and clarity for all of you that are out there in these big leadership roles that are leading people, processes, profit centers, and just making sure that you're open for business and providing these really great career opportunities for everyone. So I'm thrilled to be able to see you and your leadership team lean all the way in to these 5-hour work plans. But even more impressed with that, I'm really delighted to see you adopting the micro role, the ownership area, because that's how people stand out. Right. So like in a practice like yourself, where you have a lot of therapists, right? So everyone is a therapist, and there's expectations and standards around being a great therapist. And yet there's a million other things that have to be done at the practice to make sure that everything is working the way it should be and that the doors continue to stay open, that we continue to provide quality care. But who's doing all of those things, right? So there's competent people on your team. There's also people on your team that are curious to learn about that thing, or they, this one thing drives them absolutely nuts. So, hey, can I have that? Because I want to be able to turn that around and make that easier for all of us. And that's where we really start to build more harmony at work, where you're there to do your core role and you get to do this and you're learning about this. And then you might train others on that. And then you're going to create a business asset that goes along with that. So the work feels more worthwhile versus coming in and being a slave to the calendar, like the slave to the session room door, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing with a new person coming in and another new person coming in. I just think people now have a much different view of what they want to do at work. And most people who have a lot of commitment and drive and want to build a career see the value in having a micro role. So I'm really impressed that you're leaning into this, Jess. Yeah, it's the way to go.
Yeah, thanks.
So tell us, how would you consider or describe your leadership style?
This is a hard question for me to answer. I'm still trying to figure that out. I do tend to be a, build the plane as I'm flying it kind of person. And in a lot of ways, that's served me very well. We have lots of decisions that are very thoughtful and intentional, and then lots of things where I feel really good about saying a quick yes, let's try it. Why not? I think my team would probably describe me as quite supportive of them. I truly care about them. I want them to feel good in their work. I want them to really feel like they are excelling at what they're doing.
Well, I think you're one of those individuals that have reached a moment in her life where she's realized that she still wants to evolve. You're still curious about life. You're curious to learn new things. I mean, you wouldn't have joined the Leadership Lab if you weren't curious to learn new tools and frameworks and methods to be able to bring that to your team to continue to enhance your practice. So that tells me right there. The other thing that I'm noticing about you is you're open to the difficult conversations. You're open to looking at the ugliness of what it means to be a leader and have a large team and deal with all the personalities. And as well, you're in a difficult industry, Jess. The whole mental health field itself and the demand for mental health supports is no joke. And so to be a leader and to stand out in your community as being an exceptional place for people to go to for support takes a lot of vision. It takes a lot of stamina, and it takes a lot of conviction. And that's who you are, Jess. That's really who you are, which I think that's what's attracting or attractive to people that want to come and join your team. And I know you personally do not have a need to be in the limelight. You are not a spotlight seeker. You aren't. That's not your personality. However, it's obvious that you are leading the company in a really great way and that you've built a practice from nothing to what it is now. So if you think that you can be that silent leader in the background, a silent business owner forever, I don't think that's really going to happen. But at the same point, people find comfort in that. And you have an ease about you, Jess, as well, which I think really complements the leadership team that you're building too.
Thank you.
Well, I'm thrilled to have more people know who you are and what your team is up to. And how can people stay connected to you?
We can be found everywhere at InnerWorks London. So that's our website, InnerWorks London, our Instagram, Facebook.
Well, I am really impressed with the programs that you're building out for people. You're really looking deep into the demand. What are the specific demands that are required in the city of London and the surrounding area, and how can you and your team support people in a really great way for that? So congratulations on all of your success. And I'm super excited to see you next week because you're traveling to our annual in-person retreat that's happening right here in my area up here in Merrickville, Ontario, and thrilled to be able to see you, give you a hug in person next week.
Yes, I am very excited.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for coming and sharing your brilliance with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Jessica showed us that creating long-term success means being willing to rethink how your team works, how they're paid, and how accountability shows up every day. If you want a practice that runs smoothly, serves well, and scales sustainably, these are the kinds of intentional decisions that will get you there. Bold leadership builds lasting businesses, and you don't have to do it alone. She built a leadership team that collaborates with her, and she surrounded herself with her Leadership Lab peers who rally around each other for these big, bold moves. Jessica has taken full advantage of her one-to-one time with me. She likes to make things happen, so we use our time together to create plans and clarity. Most recently, we built her own 5-hour work plan. And it's been an absolute pleasure getting to support Laura and Virginia as well, both incredibly capable leaders in the practice who take their roles seriously and who are intent on supporting their therapists and admin team members at a whole new level. They recently booked a 2-to-1 with me, and we mapped out a 5-hour work plan for a key team member that will become the foundation of the remaining work plans that they create to provide that clarity and self-sufficiency for every person on their team, including themselves. I just love providing this high-touch guidance with our Stacking Your Team tools with my clients. Be sure to connect with Jessica and her team. All of her links are in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. If today's episode helped you see your leadership in a new way, I'd love to hear about it. Come connect with me on Instagram, where I'm at Stacking Your Team, and tell me, what are you working on in your business right now? And if you're ready to go further, check out the Leadership Lab. It's my high-touch coaching experience designed for women leading a growing team. You'll find all the details on the Stacking Your Team website. And we're welcoming new members right now. So until next time, let's do less managing and more leading by making space to lead and then letting go of the rest.